Hey guys, so welcome to Relentless Talk Radio. This is actually episode 5 of Relentless Biker, celebrating motorcycle culture. This is the first time we're using Zoom to stream, so it's a little exasperating because I have like two rock stars with me and I'm learning on the fly. But yeah, Adam and I were just talking about this. So this is Adam Sandoval and Lori Lancaster. We were just saying that, when you do stuff, you just do it, right? So today we're learning on the fly on Facebook. So Adam, can you introduce who you are and tell my audience, who probably already knows who you are anyway, but can you please tell them who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Adam Sandoval, and I ride motorcycles. That's kind of my jam. I do a lot of philanthropy. I try to find any way I can mix philanthropy with motorcycles. And then I, of course, have a YouTube channel that just kind of follows my life and adventures and travels. We do a fair amount of traveling, so it's always an adventure.
Just 80,000 miles. Is that what you have done over the past 7 years? Is that the number I read on your website? It's probably more than that because your website's usually a lagging indicator, right?
Yeah, I know. I got to update my website. So 88,000 miles was in a single trip. So that was my longest trip. One trip, like I go on a trip, I come back 88,000 miles later. So that was about a 20-month trip, a little under 20 months. So, but yeah, that was my longest trip. I've got, I retired that bike. That bike I retired with 240,000 miles on it. So, and that was back in 16. I retired that bike. So there's been a few miles since then, but yeah, quite a few miles. I think I've done like, I want to say, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was right now I'm at like 16 times riding coast to coast across America. And I think it's 9 times north to south.
Wow. So I've done it 5, and I thought I was a little crazy. Not necessarily coast to coast, but 5 giant chunks. So Vermont to Denver, Vermont to Florida, Vermont to Sturgis, Vermont to Detroit. So I love that you have. You're a rock star, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to be on. And I have a gazillion questions, but I'm going to let Lori introduce herself first. Lori, I want to say, first of all, I love your background. That's Costa Rica, right? Is that Costa Rica?
Mexico. Actually, that was a picture from San Felipe, Baja, Mexico, that we took about 3 weeks ago.
That is so awesome. So thanks for sharing a little bit of the ocean with us. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Lori Lancaster. From Michigan. I grew up riding bikes at the age of 10. My dad bought me a Suzuki 50, and I graduated up through the years, got a crotch rocket, and then I bought a Honda Silverwing. I have not ridden coast to coast, but I have ridden all over the US, and I like to ride internationally. So I'm trying to connect the Pan American Highway from the most northern tip to the southern tip of Ushuaia, Argentina. So to date, I have connected from Anchorage, Alaska, all the way to the border of Panama. And I'm going tomorrow to hopefully make it to Colombia. And I just ride for fun. I make stupid videos.
I wish I was going with you. I mean, like, if I could drop my life right now and go, I would so do that. But I was nominated for Woman of the Year, so I'm kind of sequestered to Phoenix until at least May. But I just want to say I'm just so impressed with you guys for the amount of miles you put on your motorcycle. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a bar rider. There's been times in my life where I've been a bar rider just between locations and, riding for breakfast and that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think my longest ride was 7,000 miles in one sitting. And I don't know a lot of people have done that, because
that's a long ride.
It really does take a certain, I did it in 17 days. I did about 800 to 1,000 miles a day. So I was definitely riding, so it takes a special kind of person to sit on a bike for that long. But yeah. I would do it all day long on a bike, but in a car, I want to kill myself. Because I've ridden the country in a car too. And that's just it. You think it would be better because you'd have a, controlled environment, but I find the motorcycle to be the only way to travel distances. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Being on a bike is my happy place. I love feeling the wind and just being outside in Mother Nature. I get grumpy if I can't ride, quite honestly.
100%. I was bikeless for 3 years. I did a little bit of renting. and went through kind of a crazy divorce, and the bike was a casualty of it, collateral damage. And I rented for a little bit to kind of decide what my next bike was. But my mom said to me one day, Michelle, I don't care what you have to do. Like today, you need to roll off the lot on a motorcycle, because if not, I'm going to kill you. So real bikers really need to ride, right? So Adam, what was your first bike?
My first bike was just a little mini bike. I don't think it was a manufacturer. I think it was probably a homemade job. That was my first 2 wheels. The first bike that I can remember having a name on would be a Honda Trail 70. But my first street legal motorcycle was I'm going to say a 92. I'm not sure. Maybe it wasn't a 92. Katana, crotch rocket. That was my first bike.
Crotch rocket. Okay, cool.
Decade, but that's how I started.
So you're kind of a Harley zealot now, though, right? I mean, is it correct to assume that? But you have a couple other bikes too, I would assume. But I have
Harley. I have a couple Indians, a couple Harleys. I had a Honda. I just sold my Honda. I had an Africa Twin dual sport. Got a BMW in the garage. And then a bunch of mini bikes, of course. You got to have mini bikes.
And I watched one of your videos with Ari. What's Ari's last name? The owner of Law Tigers.
Levenbaum.
Yeah, he was riding a Paul Yaffe bike. What a beautiful motorcycle that was, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Paul Yaffe right here in Arizona.
Yep, he makes some great bikes.
Makes some awesome motorcycles. So what made you guys fall in love with motorcycling? I mean, I know, for me, I know what did it, but what was it for you, Lori? What made you go, oh, God, I think that's my dig. That's my deal. I'm a biker.
Honestly, when I rode a BMW, it was a different environment. The social scene was different. I often rode alone. And when I bought my Harley and I lived in Cave Creek, it was like I suddenly adopted this whole ginormous family. And being that a lot of those people, it's such a heartwarming feeling to have that kind of a friendship with people. And riding out here, I think is beautiful. I have to be in beautiful surroundings, but I don't mind riding in the rain and the mud. Quite honestly, Adam and I just did that a few weeks ago. But I don't know. I think there's a bond. There's a bond with Mother Nature, and there's a bond with other people who just get it. I
heard Adam give you a compliment the other day. He said, you're with the right people when you go on a giant ride and there's no arguing.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of laughs and giggles on that trip. That is for sure.
Having been on a ride where there has been more of that, there's nothing worse than being on a long ride with the wrong fit. Oh, you just want to kill yourself or them or both of you, or just poke your eye out with a stick, one or the other. So how about you, Adam? What made you decide that being a biker was kind of the deal?
Well, I mean, I have to echo what Lori said in the fact that, the community is definitely what's certainly kept me sticking with it. But what really got me excited about it and made me want to ride was from a child, family reunions, weddings, Christmases. I had an uncle named Wayne, and unfortunately, rest in peace, Uncle Wayne. Who was a diehard biker, man. And he would show up and he would ride to the wedding across the entire country on his Softail Springer. And he'd show up and he'd just be weather beaten and leathered and his girl on the back and his bags, and everybody, whenever he'd show up, everybody would be like, oh, Uncle Wayne, rode in across the country on his motorcycle. It was just the coolest thing. As a kid, my Uncle Wayne was a movie star to me. I mean, he was the Easy Rider, or he was every bit as influential as any of that to me. And I remember being a little kid and said, someday I'm going to have a Harley-Davidson and I'm going to ride around the country like my Uncle Wayne, man, because he was the man when he showed up at the parties. So when I say parties,
it was cousin Johnny for me. It was my cousin Johnny. He actually came up to Vermont to be with my godfather, who had a Harley, but he was my godfather was already a rock star and he had a great motorcycle. But when Johnny came up on a chopper from Jersey, because he was basically running from the police, You know, that the whole thing of that persona of being a biker, that bad boy thing, of course, stuck for a little bit. But, you know, when I was in college, I met my first biker boyfriend, and his dad's family, you know, the whole culture around being part of the family, I can really resonate that with. And Lori and I shared the same family here in Cave Creek. And I hope, Adam, when you come out to Arizona, we go for a ride together, because it's good to have a good crew of people that you ride with on a regular basis. And it just seems like even if you're not riding with the same people, the bike brings you together as family. No matter where you are, when you meet a biker, there's that family connection, even if you're just meeting them for the first time. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, often very true.
Yeah, for 100%. And, you know, there's some bad blood in the biker community too, but that's kind of with all families, isn't it? 100%.
No doubt.
So what are you riding now, Lori? I know that your bike is kind of in Costa Rica right now, right?
Well, that's my adventure sport bike. But up here, I have a 2016 Harley Street Glide Special, which I absolutely love. And down in Costa Rica, I have a Triumph Tiger 800, and I love that bike too. As much as I like what Adam had, you know, the African Twin, I just found that my Triumph is a little bit lighter for a woman rider, and it's white, and she's pretty. You know, I glossed her up. I put some cute little stickers on, so it's a chick bike.
Yeah. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with being a biker chick. Amen. How about you, Adam?
I know.
What are you riding now? How about you, Adam? What are you riding?
My main two bikes that I'm riding right now are a 2020 Indian Challenger and a 2017 Road Glide Ultra. Those are my two main touring bikes right now.
Awesome. Well, I just bought a Road
Yeah.
King. Her name is Silver. She replaced Ruby, who was my 2000 Softail, who I rode across country 3 times. So with no floorboard or no windshield, and I didn't really realize what a badass I was until I started to ride with the fairing and floorboards. It really does make a difference.
Oh, big time. The muscles in the back of your neck get so sore without a windshield.
Yeah, I always said that the reason why my abs were still flat was because I rode without a windshield. I think that's true. That's funny. So why do you still do it, Adam? Like, after all these miles, what do you still love about being a biker? Is it still the family? Is it, you know, is there more to it than that now?
I mean, it's a profession for me at this point. I mean, this is how I make my living. I just I imagine this is what it feels like for somebody that plays professional football or baseball or hockey. You get to do your passion for a living, and so that's what it's come down to for me. I've stumbled into a way to turn it into a living. My social media following has grown to such enough companies worked with me enough over the years that I've been able to generate a living putting out YouTube videos, and you know, so I love it. So I still ride because obviously the community, don't get me wrong. I think I'll ride for the rest of my life. I'll always own a Harley, as long as I live. I'll probably always own an Indian too, as long as I live. I love both bikes for different reasons. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm in a unique position because I can just take off for a month or take off for 2 months and go tour around the country on my motorcycle, and sharing the different places I go and the different roads I ride and the different climates and cultures with the masses across the internet is now my profession. And I'm in love with it.
You get sponsorship dollars, but also a percentage of your proceeds is probably coming from YouTube advertising dollars and that type of advertising pay-per-click kind of situation, right? Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. There's multiple streams of revenue. You know, you've got sponsorships, which, you know, you got to be careful with. You know, I turn down more deals than I agree on. You know, every year I turn down more sponsors than I accept. You know, because it's got to be a product that I love, and that I really do believe in, and that I can honestly share with my friends and audience on the internet. And 2, it's got to be a company that has the morals that I believe in too. If I send my friend to go work with a company, I need to know that if they have an issue, that company's going to take care of them. So those are my 2 main things I won't sign a sponsorship deal if I don't believe in the product, and B, I don't believe in the people running that product, managing that product. And a lot of people, can get down a track real fast in the wrong direction with that type of stuff. So that's important. That's a mainstream. And then of course, ad revenue from the social media platforms, merchandise. We sell a ton of these, stubborn American hats, patch hats, things like that. So there's a lot of revenue streams coming from there. I own a campground, so a lot of my videos will tie into my campground, the K River campground, and then that video actually turns into a stream when people come to visit the campground. So it's just, there's multi fingers, and no one of them could sustain you. But when you start to add them all together, it can be a decent living.
Well, I think that's 100% awesome. And by the way, I want one of those hats. I noticed that on your merch site, so I'll be ordering one of those, by the way. Lori, how about you? Why still ride? You're a filmmaker. You've got a company called Toy Junkies as well, which I want you to jump in and tell us a little bit more about those later. But why still ride the way you do?
I think a lot of it has to do with my dad. I grew up with motorcycles from the time I was a tot, and I watched him ride, and I saw the passion in him as, he rode up these hills, and he raced enduros, and his name was Rapid Robert the Rocket. And so I don't know, I guess I have it in my blood. It's not something you just wake up one day and have a passion for. I think you really, you can't fake the passion. I really, truly enjoy riding my motorcycle with or without somebody. I don't, I get just as much enjoyment riding by myself and discovering what's around the next corner. I think that's part of the highlight. When I rode around in Alaska, I'll never forget, we came around this corner, and all of a sudden this waterfall was literally splashing in my face. And then we say, like the next day we came across a mama bear and a couple babies. Another time I had an eagle fly right in front of me carrying a fish in her talons. And I just felt like I was right there with them. It's a lot different.
I agree with you. I love riding in a group. I love riding in small groups. I love riding with my guy, you know what I mean? But I also really love riding on my own. Whenever I start dating someone, I just say, there's going to come a day I'm going to wake up and I got to go. Where are you going? I don't know. You haven't got a lot of money on you. It doesn't matter. I'm out. And there's nothing better for me than being in a place you've accidentally arrived at, that you've never been at before, in the parking lot with a perfect cup of coffee, and someone walks up to you and you start a conversation about whatever's happening in that person's day in the parking lot in wherever. And it's better if there's like a great view, or you're having a nice sandwich or something, and you just get an opportunity to like just be in the moment with a human that you've never met before, or just standing by yourself on the side of the road and just going, wow, what an amazing country we live in. It's amazing that people rode their horse and buggy across from Massachusetts to California. It just blows my mind when you're on a motorcycle. It makes you realize just how this country was forged, and it just plugs you into something much bigger than you are, is my opinion.
Oh, no doubt.
Go ahead, Lori. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying, just yesterday, I was driving back from Las Vegas through that boulder field and thinking, that I don't know how the settlers made it back then. It's definitely much easier on two wheels than it is in a Jeep.
100%. You think to yourself, what if I ran out of gas? And you're like, whoa, these guys came across like walking, crazy. Yeah. So what were you going to say, Adam?
I was just going to say, I think that's an interesting point, for a lot of people who maybe haven't done a lot of solo motorcycling. Obviously I've spent a lot of time solo motorcycling, and, as much as I love traveling with a group, there are some unique benefits to traveling solo. And I think, you kind of touched on it there when you said, meeting somebody in a parking lot. When you pull into a city and you're by yourself on your bike, and your bike's down, and, you can tell that you've been traveling across the country. You walk into that restaurant, or whether it be a parking lot or wherever, people want to talk to you. They want to know your story. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know what's happening. When you walk in with a group of 4 friends, even if you still got luggage, people are a little less anxious to come start a conversation with you. They're a little bit more reserved. You're talking, and your energy's involved with these people that are with you, and there's not as many connections with the locals when you're with a group as when you're solo. When you're solo, you're super approachable, and likewise, your energy is probably looking for someone to engage with as well. So it's just a perfect marriage for meeting new people and new cultures, in my opinion.
You never have to like complete I love it when I catch like an older lady. She'll walk up to me and she'll go, God, are you by yourself? And she's either a little apprehensive about that. And then she says, God, I wish I could do that. I think that there's an additional kind of, I don't know, street courage you get as a chick. I don't know. I could be wrong about this, Lori, but I don't think so. When you travel by yourself, you do have to be careful, but I think even men have to be careful. I certainly don't want to walk around in the world being afraid of going out and talking to little old ladies in parking lots. I just,
Right.
I want to go out and meet people and meet them where they're at. So I love that the solo thing is there. But Adam, you usually have your dog with you, right? Do you always take Scooter with you?
I did for a lot of years.
He's a Chihuahua, right?
Yes, he's a Chihuahua. Mm-hmm. I did for a lot of years, did a lot of riding with me, hundreds of thousands of miles. But he's getting older now, so nowadays he doesn't really ride with me as much as he used to. It's more memories than the new trips together. If the weather's perfect and I know I'm going to a situation where I control everything, I'll take him. But he's on some medications and he's older. He's got some illnesses, and he just doesn't deal with the extreme cold and hot like he used to. So, I used to put him in my bag, bang from Lake Tahoe, and bang across the desert at 110 degrees and just, chuck his bag full of ice, and he'd ride in there and we'd make it across. And nowadays it wouldn't work like that.
Well, that's just the nature of all of us getting older, but man, he is super duper cute. I was watching a video of you the other day. He was in the car and his little butt, and he's just a little cutie. I just think that I have to meet that dog. You should bring him out here in Arizona so I can love up on him. He's a super cutie.
He's a good dog, man. People are surprised how small he is. He's only 5 pounds. In the pictures, a lot of times.
I told you in the pre-interview when I was out in Sturgis, rode out there in 2001, at this big old burly guy with a beard, and he's like, he walks up and he opens up his jacket and this little tiny teacup peeks out. And I was like, oh my God. He was like this little tiny 3-pound. And I've had like Chihuahua envy ever since. So I just love you because you have a Chihuahua. I mean, I just think that's the coolest thing, because just have a big dude, like, all by himself, solo, a little Chihuahua, totally, totally cool. Chick magnet, I'm sure. You have a girlfriend and she rides too, right?
She does. Yeah, absolutely.
And she just got a new bike, or is that an older video that I saw?
Older video. She got that bike, I think, new in 17.
Cool. So does she ride off? Does she ride often with you, or does she kind of do the stay at home, like, drum up business, take care of the detail kind of girl, or you guys kind of a combo of both?
Well, she has her own profession. She doesn't necessarily work with me or anything, other than, when I get her to get on a video or something like that, she's not much of a social media or limelight kind of personality. I mean, she keeps her pages private and it's only family, and that's just kind of her jam. So she's got her own profession, but she gets a ton of vacation on her profession. So she takes a lot of trips with me every year, and she'll fly out. If she can't ride out, she'll fly out and spend a week with me here or there when I'm gone on my 3-week, 4-week trips and stuff like that. She'll fly out once or twice. I don't think we've spent more than 14 days apart every time. If I'm gone, usually 10 days, about as long as we spend, and then she'll fly to where I am, and she'll either ride with me or rent a car and chase me, or ride out, depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing. But yeah, she rides hard, she rides good. And we're a good team on the road, no doubt.
That's cool. So I touch on the concept of philanthropy. We all three of us have a philanthropic heart, especially you, Adam. I just love the fact that you sold everything you own and you just went out and started to do this thing because I was sharing the other day about failing at something or being disappointed by something. And I found that if I fail or I'm disappointed or I fall short or something's difficult, I actually start to get excited now, because I know that's usually the precipitous of something amazing happen. So what happened for you is you felt bad that you didn't join the service. So you jumped on your Harley, sold everything, jumped in your Harley and drove around to 48 states and visited all of the Harley-Davidson dealerships and raised over $300,000 for our veterans. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. There's a little bit more to it than that. I went through a divorce, and there was, just some other factors, and, but mainly I regretted never joining the military, wanted to do something about it. I talked to my wife at the time about trying to do something like this tour be the first person to ride to every Harley dealership. And of course, it was just pillow talk. And she, yeah, okay, Adam, someday, whatever, just kind of blow it off. And then when we got divorced, I said, you know what? This is my opportunity to rebuild my life how I want to build it. And I'm going to start it off by trying to do something positive. And so I, sold my house, sold all my furniture. I had multiple motorcycles, sold my motorcycles, kept my dog, kept one bike, and 1996 Electric Glide Standard. It was bought and paid for. So, and took off to hit every Harley-Davidson dealership, be the first guy to do it all in one run. And there were definitely times where I thought about, quitting, or times that it was hard. I remember, my first couple months, I'd ride for a week, spending my savings, basically taking the sale of my home and putting it into my gas tank. And, I'd ride for weeks and raise $100 or $200. And I, show up to places and nobody be there to meet me. Or, they would be, but the dealerships wouldn't know about me or wouldn't want to get involved for whatever reason, or it was new, or, skeptical, maybe, rightfully so. And, I would have huge failures, especially in the beginning. And I didn't know that it could turn into the life that I live now. I had no idea that it could turn into this. I didn't even know there was such thing as, a moto vlogger or full-time YouTuber, or, I didn't know that genre of profession even existed. With time, it just grew. And, by the end, I had, hundreds and thousands of people showing up, to hundreds and thousands, not hundreds of thousands. Okay. But hundreds and thousands of people would show up, to different events and different stops that I would stop at, to show their support for my mission and for what I was doing. And, collectively now we've done over $1 million in charity donations and raised gifts. And, I've given away, I think, 8 motorcycles at this point to veterans, free of charge, just hand them the keys. Now more than that, like 11 motorcycles at this point I've given away to veterans, and definitely hard times, definitely times thinking about quitting, and definitely stuck it out, and it's definitely paid off. It's come full circle. I feel like all the blessings I have in my life right now are good karma. And I just feel like, man, you get back what you put out in this world. Believe it or not, sometimes it takes longer than you think. It took me 5 years. I remember when I hit my last dealer, I remember panicking, like, what am I going to do for a living now? I got to start my whole life over. I'm flat broke. I've put my entire savings, retirement, everything into my gas tank to ride around the country and raise money for veterans. And now I have no career. I have no future. I still didn't at that time know that I could make a living doing this. And I didn't know what I was going to do, So, and then things just started to fall into my lap. Companies started wanting to work with me, and different opportunities started arising. People started supporting me by buying T-shirts and stuff. I mean, just the craziest thing that you think is simple: buy a T-shirt for this guy you're following on YouTube. But that stuff actually kept me afloat and helped me live out my dreams. So it just happened that way. Yeah.
Well, Adam, I just want to tell you, I'm super proud of you, because I've had 6 companies of my own, and I've done a lot of philanthropy in my life. And oftentimes you're left there standing on your own. Maybe the dealer you're partnering with, or the person you're partnering with, or the team that you're working with drops the ball, and you're like, what am I doing this? You have to remember, at least for me, I'll say I have to remember what the point is. So, I was nominated for the Leukemia Lymphomas Woman of the Year. When my dad passed away from lymphoma this past Valentine's Day night, I chose to accept the nomination. And we've been planning since November, and already there's been some things that have happened where I'm like, my God, what was I thinking? I'm busy building another business, and I took on this huge effort for LS. And what I know is that every time that I've gotten out of my own way and gotten out of self and given, it's come back in ways I couldn't possibly have even imagined. And it really isn't even about that. It's about making sure that the $4 million LLS put out for people during the COVID to be able to deal with not being able to and turn the light on. It really is about the guy like my dad, who maybe wasn't lucky enough to save enough to pay his bills during a pandemic, who has cancer. It's not about me at all. So when I get my panties into a twist, I just imagine that one person who's going to get that $300 check from LLS that's going to pay his telephone bill or his water bill, or is going to pay the condo association thing so he doesn't get kicked out of his condo. It's that one person that needed that, because I've been that one person in my life when I needed something and a check came out of nowhere and I was like, wow, like I am so lucky that that just happened. So when I find myself getting frustrated by a spreadsheet being one column off and it screws everything up, which is what happened yesterday. And I spent half the day fixing a spreadsheet for the mailing going out, like crap, like having to stop and just fix. And why am I doing that? It really is about that guy that was in, my dad would often be sitting getting chemo treatment. And he would say, there's this 40-year-old guy in here. He'd be texting me. My little 85-year-old dad would be texting me saying, there's a guy here. He's 40. He's got 3 children and a business. And he's losing his fight. I don't know why I keep on winning. So that's the reason why I'm doing it, for the guy that's losing his fight and his kids that are going to be left with the telephone bill that dad couldn't pay, you know? So I talked about it being difficult and then it's not always easy. Lori, how about you? Tell us about your feeling about philanthropy and the motorcycle. Because I know you do things yourself too to kind of get the word out about doing good stuff.
Oh, I just believe in paying it forward. And quite honestly, after riding with Adam and getting to know him on our last trip to Baja, he's the real deal. You know, I mean, there's just seeing the joy with the 3 people that we got to ride with, who were all wounded vets. It just warmed my heart so much. I just want to be able to help people. And normally in my past, I've always helped handicapped animals. I've rescued thoroughbred horses, and now I have 2 neurologically damaged cats, and so that is my passion. But you know, that there's just a lot of people out there that need help. And the fellow I'm meeting with next week in Costa Rica, he's been building a school in Nicaragua. And so, you know, I like to help other people's charities. I don't have one of my own, and I know Adam doesn't have one of his own. And before I forget, I want to make sure Adam shows you his sunglasses that he has a patent on, because they're way hella cool. Yeah, big plug for you. So I don't know. I just like to be good to people and help pay it forward. And if I can help in some way, I don't have any sponsors and I don't have any YouTube channel. I tried to put my own fun video together just because I want people, if they're looking to ride in other countries, I want them to learn from my experience. But you know, I just do it for fun. And I put it on a silly little website called How We Roll Productions. And you know, if people want to ask me questions, I'm there. But I'm not a full-time YouTube blogger.
Really, you're living the dream, because you're not doing it for work, and you get to do things. And you know, I you know, again, this last trip Lori and I took to Mexico was the first time we've ridden together, or even met. We met the night before we left in person.
Yep.
You know, your ability to go with the flow on the road and it just shows the type of to me it's awesome. I mean, I always try to make as little plans as possible. Okay, we're headed this way, but how far we make it, where we stop, what we do, let's see what we stumble into. And for a lot of people, they can't handle that. They're like, nah, we need to know where we're sleeping tonight, we need to know where we're, and I'm like, and then you were just like, you were right there. You were the perfect traveling companion. And you know, so were the other veterans. And I think you're 100% right. A lot of the charity I do is just taking veterans on trips. So, you know, I'll take veterans on different trips, you know, usually not all of them. Sometimes like if they're veterans that I've done trips with before, or, you know, they're buddies I know that are veterans and, you know, I just want to do something with them. You know, it won't be this way, but a lot of the trips I take, you know, I do all expense paid. So I'll pay for their fuel, their hotel, their food. I just won't pay for their booze because, you know, a lot of my friends can drink pretty heavy.
Like me.
but you know, that's a lot of what we do. And then people be like, well, how do I get to be one of the veterans you take on a trip? You know, is there somewhere I can sign up or whatever? And I just tell them, no, man, I mean, really, I just have to meet you. You know, I remember I took a veteran all the way up the East Coast through the Smoky Mountains. We went up to Laconia Bike Week. I took him to, and you know, I knew I was taking that trip. I knew I was taking a veteran. I didn't find the veteran I was taking until 3 days before I was leaving. You know what I mean? But he happened to be here at the campground. I'd never met him before. He came up to me, wanted to meet me, and he had that 1,000-mile stare. if you know what I'm talking about, if you've worked with a lot of veterans, you know, it's that stare that says, you know, I've seen some things, you know, where they're almost looking through you, they're looking downfield, they're not. He was dealing with some heavy shit. And he was there with his girlfriend, and I took his girlfriend aside. I said, listen, I've been looking for the right vet to take on this trip. I think your boyfriend needs this. You know, could you support me in getting him to break free for, I think we went for 3 weeks, you know, and let me take him on this trip. And she was like, oh my God, yes. And she did. And we took him on the trip, and it was amazing for him. And we're friends to this day. And that's how it happens for me. So these veterans that I take, a lot of times are just guys or girls that I run into, that I just feel a connection with and feel like they need something and feel like a road trip might help them, because I think motorcycle is therapy. I mean, I just think it is. I've seen it change people.
100%. I absolutely do believe that to be true. And Lori, I wanted to go back to you saying you don't actually do anything. Of course you do. When you adopt a rescue animal who's got neurological impairment, a full-time job. I mean, like, you know, that is absolutely charitable. You could have gone out and got a totally able-bodied cat, you know what I mean, that you bought for, you know, $500 from a breeder, and you got two, and you do buy, you have to do a donation when you adopt. So that's your way of giving back. And Adam, I loved what you said about being impromptu. That is like my superpower. You know, I just jump on my motorcycle. I've got a tent in the back seat. And the difference between how the two of you guys travel to a little bit, you're more of a camper and Lori's more of a glam girl, right? So Lori's more like the resort kind of thing. And I'm in between the two of you, okay? Like I am definitely, you know, when I went to Sturgis, I had, you know, so much crap pulled up in the back of my bike, and I would, you know, sleep under my bike with a tarp at a gas station for a couple hours if I needed to, or at a rest area. You know, I've slept on the ground. I have blow up mattresses, whether they're working or not, you never know. But I've also done the resort and rolled up on my motorcycle and had, like, you know, massages and sat by the pool and did all that too. So you really get to choose how you travel. You can be a glamper, a camper, or anywhere in between, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we did a little bit of both on that trip. And if you watch the video, you'll see how Adam had to do his laundry, the poor thing. we hiked through the desert, and then he says to me, he goes, clearly you haven't watched many of my videos, because this is what we do. It was like an adventure walk trying to find the first restaurant next to our hotel. But no,
I definitely believe in laundry road, because why bring like 15 pairs of pants? You bring a couple pairs, one that can be wet and dirty and one that you're wearing, right? You bring a couple shirts and you rotate them out in between washing. However, I do always bring a cocktail dress and stilettos on my rides. I'm just saying. That's funny. And sometimes when I get off my bike, people in Cave Creek will actually, out the Hideaway, by the way, is one of our vendors on our the poker run I'm doing in April. Sometimes I'll get off my bike, take my boots off, and put my stilettos on to go into the bar. Okay, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I'll put on my earrings, because you don't want to have big hoop earrings in the wind, right? So I'm kind of like a crossbred between the totally down and dirty, like, you know, no fluff girl, and the, you know, there is a actual chance that you might see me get off my bike, run into the bathroom, and come out in a backless evening gown.
Awesome.
It's fun, isn't it?
I've seen a couple.
I think it's about having fun. And by the way, I want to mention my friend Paulie over at Bagger Syndicate. He made this hat for me with my Relentless brand on it. If you want his hats, you can reach out to Paulie. There'll be a hot link on this video later. He's a rock star. He's another polypreneur. He has a catering company in Niagara Falls. And I keep on telling him he has to mail me some meatballs, but he hasn't done that yet. So maybe, hey, Paulie, I want my meatballs. Just let you know, if you're watching, send me the meatballs. Freezer pack them. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the thing that we're doing in April, and then we're gonna swing back around to help us at the tail end of this. So in April, I'm doing a poker run here in Arizona. It's called the Relentless for a Cure Poker. It's going to run over 9 days from April 16th to April 25th. We're having a virtual opening and a virtual closing. Okay. And in those 9 days, people here in Phoenix can choose between 5 routes. We're working with 24 vendors, including Buddy Stubbs on Relentless Biker. We're going to be choosing there's 24 vendors and 5 different routes. So if you're interested in riding for, which is blood cancer, you can go to relentlessforacure.com and learn about my pain. Now, essentially how the LLS Woman of the Year thing works is I raise money and I'm competing with 4 or 5 other women, and whoever raises the most money wins. But it really isn't about the competition. It's about that person, like I was talking about earlier, who needs help from LLS, from leukemia and lymphoma. Children with leukemia are definitely a big focus, and also the research. So if we're able to find a cure for blood cancer, we're actually able to help find a cure for all cancers. 60% of the time when they find something about cancer from blood cancer research, it applies to other cancers and they're able to make medications that help people. So this past year, the LLS gave $4.8 million to COVID relief for people during the pandemic. So we're needing to help kind of replenish their funds. So if you're interested in doing the poker run, you can also do it solo, by the way, Adam, and get your own donation page. So if you're out and about in that period of time and you want to help out, you can do a solo donation page and just take a picture of wherever you're at and let people know that you're fundraising for LLS. That. So I don't know if you're in Arizona, Lori, you're going to be in Arizona at that time, or are you going to be traveling? You're going to be in Costa Rica, aren't you?
What is the exact date?
It's April 16th to the 25th.
I should probably be back.
Yeah, so we're breaking up into groups of 8. We're using a virtual card drawing technology from Mischief Maker. I found a guy in Florida that created an app that will allow us to pull our cards without touching them on the table. So everything about it is virtual. It's also separating people up into 8 so we can support these bars and they can be able to receive us without having problems. So I want to just tell people about that. And if you have any questions about it, I can answer.
No, but I'd be more than happy to share that link on my page and on how we roll and help get the word out. I'm in a lot of different motorcycle Facebook pages and stuff.
Awesome.
I think that's awesome.
Lori is a motorcycle Facebook page guru. He had us all across. We would pull for town. She'd be like, "Oh, this." I'm like, "What? How do you?" Like, "Oh, well, I'm on this chat and I'm on that group and I know these people and I text this guy," and she'd just be opening doors for us every town we went to. It was crazy. Yes, you are a great social media marketing person.
Well, social media is super powerful. I mean, it enables you to contact so many different kinds of people. So one of the other things I want to talk about before we close is health and fitness. So I really am on a mission this year to kind of talk a little bit about something bikers don't like to talk about, being healthy. Some of us do, but I think it's hard to be healthy when you're on the road. And Adam, I was watching your lead video on YouTube, and you were actually talking about how initially you struggled with making healthy choices on the road. So I wanted to ask you both, especially when you're on the road, but just generally, what do you do for your own health and fitness?
Adam, you want to go first?
You might have a lag internet feed.
I was going to let you, Lori.
Okay, well, actually, since I'm packing to go to Costa Rica tomorrow, it's funny that you should ask because I do take some stuff with me. For example, I take these bands so I can work out on the road, and then I take a hydration kit. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. And then I also every day, it's very, very important because I got heat stroke one time. I take these Zip Fizz, and so I make sure to take this every day. I got heat stroke riding through Tucson on my very first journey down to Belize, and I never quite recovered. So for 2 weeks, I was very, very sick. And so I just make sure to stay hydrated.
That's awesome.
And try to get enough sleep.
I'm going to send you a container of Hydrate. My nutrition partner that I work with, it's a little tiny can, and you just put 1 scoop of it in your water and you can do it right on the road. I'll send you some of it. Make sure you give me an address where I can send it to you in Costa Rica so you can get it. How about you, Adam? How have you been able to figure out how to keep your health and fitness in check when you're on the road?
Well, I'm still working on that plan. this is a work in progress.
Wait, no, he did.
I try to eat healthy. I try to stay away from fast food. Listen, when you're traveling, fast food is just so easy. It's so convenient, especially when you're trying to get big miles down. You know, you don't have to wait. It's financially easier. There's just less involvement altogether. It's just really something really easy to go to. So I just started by trying to cut out fast food. I mean, that was my biggest step, which, also is more expensive and takes more time. So you have to adjust multiple facets of your life to do that. I take vitamins with me, and, I do workouts in local parks. Like I'll find like kids like playgrounds in local city parks, and, you can do pull-ups and incline push-ups. And, I've done dips off the saddlebags of my bike. And I don't bring any fancy shoes with me on the road, but a lot of times I'll bring a pair of, running shoes or something like that. So I can get, some sort of at least I used to more than I do now. I got in a wreck and I got kind of a bum leg. So running isn't really that enjoyable for me right now, but I used to do a lot of that, bring a pair of running shoes with me. And, the hardest part is, typically when I would travel, I was in a new city every night, and a lot of times I was doing some sort of a charity event in that city. And so there were people there that was, or were planning on, that was their night out and their night to do things. So then they'd want to drink with you, and they'd want to, dine and wine with you. And all of a sudden, you start doing that every night for 10 nights, 20 nights, 100 nights, 300 nights, 500 nights straight. And all of a sudden that could take a huge impact. So being able to remove myself from the fact that, hey, everybody else is on vacation right now, and this is their day, and they're going to go back to their normal lives tomorrow, and I'm going to be with a different group of people on vacation. You know what I mean? And that can become tedious, a vicious circle. I got caught in it. I mean, it was a vicious circle for me. But, you got to grab yourself and straighten yourself out sometimes, I guess.
Well, I think the first thing is realizing what you're doing. Being able to actually realize, wow, these people are on vacation and I'm not on vacation. Like, that's huge, because that's a change in your mindset that you can walk into a party going, you know what, I can't just eat cheesecake every night. I can't have the extra 25 shots of Jack Daniels. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I can't have the extra French fries with the crazy gravy on it that's so amazing that this lady just made special every night. I have to, realize this is actually what worked for me and get myself into a schedule. So 2 things, Adam. I have a group called the Relentless Talk Radio Health and Fitness Group, and I share workouts there all the time, just all kinds of different workouts from all different places that you can do from home or in a parking lot or at a playground, anywhere you're at. So I'll have you join that group. I'll send you an invitation, and every day I post something different that you can do, and you can just bookmark them on your computer, a little workout that can help you kind of jog you to do something. The other thing is I've learned to use meal replacements when I'm on the road. I bring a bar, I bring a shake, I put them in my pack. I have a shaker bottle with a shake in it. And then I know that if I'm out in the middle and there's nothing there but a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a Denny's, I've got something in my pack that's an option, so that I'm not, over consuming, because I love the Whopper. The Whopper is really good, but it's not really the good thing to do every day. So I try to make sure that I prepare to succeed as opposed to preparing to fail. So those are some of the things that I do. So in closing, Adam, is there anything coming up that you want to share with people that you want to let people know about?
So I'll tell you one thing that I just booked. I haven't released yet on my channel. I'll give you a first release of the event. My do not disturb didn't work.
Oh shoot.
So I just signed a deal with this thing called the High Seas Rally. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Oh my God, yes. I'm signed up to go for that.
Are you going, Lori?
I swear to God, yeah.
High five.
Oh.
No, I also found out Doc is going on that. I found that out yesterday. So Doc is going on behalf of Wounded Warrior Project.
No kidding. Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
So here's the long.
I'm curious. Tell me quick.
So it's a motorcycle rally on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
So everything about this rally is on a cruise ship. They got vendors, they got seminars, they got everything you could think of at a rally, with the exception of the riding itself, is happening on this cruise ship for like 7 days. And we're going to, Lori, you can tell them all the places we're going, but I think we're going to like the Bahamas somewhere. I think we're going to like, I don't know, Nicaragua or something. I don't know. We're going to some different places.
It's
Wait,
but,
when is this happening?
In October, right? October 22nd.
It's in the, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's in the fall, and I'm pretty sure it's like the 3rd week of October, and it's mainly like the central Bahamas. I thought it hit Exuma Cays and maybe St. Thomas. I don't remember.
2 places to do that.
The Dominican
Anyhow,
Republic, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great big
It's
cruise
at
ship. It's all just
highseasrally.com. It's October 22nd to the 29th.
there you go.
And
So yeah, just agreed to do that. And what's really cool is they support veterans. So they're taking some veterans on this cruise. My buddy Doc happens to be one of them. And sorry, I'm getting phone calls in here. My buddy Doc happens to be one of them. And so they're taking these veterans on the cruise. They got, I don't know how many, I think it's like 6 or something veterans that they're taking free of charge. The rally's actually putting them on through Wounded Warrior Project. And then they can create groups. So I'm creating a group called the Americans. And anybody who signs up under my group gets $50 donated to the charity of their choice. And
Cool.
then the rally, they do this for multiple people. They'll pay me $200 for every person that signs up. Well, I'm not going to pocket the money. I'm going to use my $200 for each person to buy more tickets for more veterans to go. So I'm hoping to take 2 or 3 veterans under my program on this. And then we have a group, and then we do like a all you can eat, drink dinner together. And we do some different things. I'm doing a few speakings. I'm going to talk to people about traveling and packing and things like that on the rally. I wrote a book about, selling everything and living on the road. That'll be available there. But it's the High Seas Rally. I haven't announced this anywhere. I'm not supposed to announce it until next week. I'm not even on their website yet. It happens, I think they said the 3rd I'll be on their website. But you heard it first here with
I'm like looking at my mouth is dropping. It's NASA. You're starting off in Port Canaveral, Florida. Then you're going to the Bahamas. Then you're going to Nassau in the Bahamas, Coco Cay in the Bahamas. Then you're going to Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. Then you're going to Labdi in Haiti. How cool is that? And then you're going back to, then you're at sea again and back to Orlando. It starts off at on October 22nd, and then it looks like you're at every place for a day, and then you get back on October 29th.
Yep.
How fun is that?
So there you go. That's an official release right here on your podcast. That's something I haven't told the public yet, and hopefully, if anybody wants to go, just hang tight. Next week, I'll be releasing all the information if you want to be part of the Americans group and help bring some veterans with
let
it.
me know. I'll share it on Relentless Talk Radio everywhere for you. And you never know. Maybe my doc will and I will show up for it. That seems like a really fun thing to do. We've been looking for a beach kind of thing to do in that time frame anyway. So good for you. Now, Laura, you've got some things coming up. You've been building your Toy Junkies business. You've been really building that up lately. So is that something we should take a look out for you?
Absolutely.
Toyjunkies.com.
Toyjunkies.com. Yep. My business partner, Scott, and I discovered last summer firsthand with the COVID crisis that all the campgrounds were closed down. We couldn't rent a boat. We couldn't rent anything. And we just discovered that there was a huge market for peer-to-peer rentals, not just like we had to rent some dude's driveway. And then we had to sneak into some other campground. And so Toy Junkies is going to be mainly a peer-to-peer rental marketplace for storage and adult toys like motorcycles, jet skis, quad runners, sailboats, hot air balloons, airplanes, you name it. Mainly power sport.
That's super good to know because Doc and I are going to be buying an RV this year and we're going to need a place to keep it. So that's really good to know.
Perfect.
So guys, I really appreciate it. We're at 1:11, so this is going to be a 2-part Instagram television video. But I really want to let you guys both know that I know you're both super busy and you took the time out because I, asked Lori and Lori asked you, and I've been kind of bouncing off you guys both for a while on this. So I want to thank you very much for your time. I want to thank you both for being excellent examples of good examples. I love to meet people like that, that are excellent examples of being a good example. Both of you are that. I look forward to riding with you both. And I just thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you, Michelle. And I'd be more than happy to help you promote your poker run.
Awesome. Now I got to figure out how to get off. Okay, it says end over here. So thanks for learning on the fly with me on Zoom. Next time there'll be scrolling things and logos, but this time down and dirty, right, Adam? We just keep on going because we don't wait till we know how to do stuff to get shit done.
That's right.
All right, guys, have a good rest of your day. Take care.
Okay, bye. Bye, Adam.
Bye. Bye, Lori.
All right, everybody, this has been the end of Relentless Talk Radio, episode 5. And come back again on the 4th Friday of March. We'll have another bunch of Relentless Bikers on here to talk with you. Take care.